Hey everyone, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. Well, got a good one for you now. Working on the battery tray area and this apron section. I'll be working with a donor piece, which has a rusted out battery tray as well, so I'll have to make a piece for that. So we'll do that first. There's a little bit more repairs on it. And once we get the repairs done on the donor piece, we'll be cutting this one out and putting it in. So hang in there, let's get at her. What have we got here anyway? Oh, this is an oddball because it's got multiple steps, multiple directions, and I don't think my bead roller is capable of putting that high of a bead in. I may have to just make some metal strips, do it like the Fitzy way, Fitzy fabrication. Do it in bits and pieces because a lot of this is still good. Like all up to this line here, over to here is good, it's solid. This is all solid here. I may be able to just rebuild that. It might be simpler just to rebuild it like that. All right, let me think about it, and then I'll take it over to the workbench, see what we can do with it. Here, it looks rusty, but it's very light rust on the surface. But it is not light rust here, it's gone. So I'm thinking I can just use what's there, a lot of it, like right along here, and right along here, and right along here, and right along here. Maybe this piece come out, I don't know. But this has to be replaced. That looks like a dimple in there. This I don't worry about. I'm not going to worry too much about that little piece of bead there. So I'm going to get rid of that bolt. That has to go. And then I'm going to get some metal, some strips of metal, and see if I can build pieces to fill in there. That might be the best way. All right, so what I'm thinking, I can build a piece. Well, this part right here can be salvaged. But if I'm going to do that, I might as well just come right along here and come up over, down, and over to here, like so, and then over to here. Now this is very pitted here, so I may have to put a whole new section in right here. And then all this as well. Like I say, I'm not worried about this thing here, so if I go over like that and bring it in like this, and I'd like to come right over there. So we'll save this stuff, save that, save, try to rebuild this. So if you kind of look at how it's made, it's mostly just breaks. Now if I just delete that, which I don't have a problem doing, or I could put it in after with a bead roller, I would need to make these strips like here and come around, and then this one up here, and this goes around like that. So that's kind of how it looks. If I'm going to do that, I may as well just come straight across like this. Very good, or even straight across to there. See if I can get a dimple in. All right, well, let's see what we can do with it. There. Step one, get rid of that old bolt. In the garbage with you. There you go. All right. I'll get a piece of steel and we'll start measuring up some of this stuff. Change of plans. Well, I've been thinking about this, and I went and got I have two battery trays, two brand new battery trays. And I'm thinking, well, it looks quite complicated there, but when I put the battery tray over it, the vision gets a lot clearer. So these are the holes that bolt it down. But basically what we're talking about here is a T. So I could bead roll a T in there. I just need to leave enough out that way and enough out this way and enough out that way to cover any rust. And of course out this way to fold down. So the new plan is I'm going to cut a piece of steel, flat steel, X size. I'm going to use this pattern and the T pattern rather, but based on this hole right here. So it's really just a T pattern. And it's open on this end, it's not closed off, so it's open. So I could probably just come in with a bead roller like that and around and back. All right, that's what we're gonna try. So I'm safe at, I'd say I'm probably gonna be safe at about 10 inches. I'll give it lots. And this is the longest side, but then I'm not coming all the way in here, so let's do a foot. So 10 by 12 piece of steel. So I got a piece of steel, and I got it kind of sitting in there, and I put some reference marks with the marker, just like so. So these are kind of like the edge lines, and of course, it's not perfect there because that is the edge for this, and this is the edge for this here. So we get it kind of in like so. That goes like this. This comes in here, and then the T is in this area. But first, I want to make just a template of the outline of this, like just the upper parts, like here, and all the way around of this T. So I'll just put a piece of paper over it, and I'll use a piece of I got a carpenter pencil here. I'll just go rub it with the carpenter pencil, and I've got some just auto body paint paper. So I'm just going to stick a few magnets around any place I can find. So I'll tuck that tighter to there, and that way we'll see if we can get a print of this thing. So I'm just rubbing this over the edge. I mean, these are all just rough measurements right now. And then I can get it in here if I can get my pencil sitting down in there. I'm going to cut a little off that, make that a little bit easier to use. There. That should work a little better. So, where was I? Here. Wow, that didn't help any. Now there's a rusted out there, so I'm gonna have to guess at it. And then over here, there we go. Magnet out of the way. Again, rough opening here, just to define the T. And then comes back like this. Now up here, I think there was some left. Not a heck of a lot. Right about here there was some. So I'm going to draw in what I think the T looks like based on what I feel there. Yeah, rusted out, and then I think there's some right here. So and this is where that bead was. I'll mark it in. It went right up to about here, that bead. And that kind of gives us sort of what this looks like. So this will be all the same width all the way down there until we come up to here. Anyway, that's kind of it. That's a good start. So I took my paper and a knife and I cut little windows at the corners and everything. So then I ended up marking it off like that. A little bit long. So now I have my pattern that I can do. So I can just show you guys what I'm doing here based on this. So I know I need that from there out to that end is like this. And then 1/2 inch all the way around was the drop down. So I'm going to say 1/2 inch. Where's a 1/2 inch? Where's my measuring tape? 1/2 inch all the way around. There we go. I'll worry about this outer part later because this part here, I just have to do a break. The break would be somewhere out here because I think this is, how wide is this? That is 7/8 of an inch. I'm gonna call that a full inch on top here. So out from here, I'm just gonna say an inch. And that went all the way to almost to the end, but I'm gonna mark it all the way to the end. Like so, and then there was another 1/2 inch drop down. Like so. Like so. Come on, you. 1/2 inch. All right, I'm going to stretch this piece first, and I want to stay inside the outer lines, if that makes sense. My cheap Princess Auto English wheel, it's not much, but it seems to do the job, sort of does the job. All right, so I'm going to give it a few runs, quite a light, just to get it started. Actually, we'll spin it around so you can see it. So I just want to stay, really, essentially, I'm going to try to stay on the inner line and a little bit to the left of it. Easy. So the idea of this is to give more material to work with. It's not quite enough kerflump there. All right. A little bit out toward the line more. I've got the highest crown roller I have, or die, on it. So it should bring it up pretty quick. And I'm just going over this same track over and over and expanding it a tiny bit to try to get more metal involved. Anyway, let me get this done and I'll show you what it looks like after. Now you can see how much the bead rolling, or not bead rolling, but the English wheel did to it, and I can still see my marks. So it's quite a bit of stretch in it. So that should help with distortion on the panel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to back it out. So I'm going to start with, so that's right down there. I'm going to start with 1, 2, actually 3 turns, and I'm going to put this in reverse. I'm going to back that out, see what happens. Not too bad. Now I'll reverse it. Actually, I'm going to do them all like that first. 1, 2, how about one more? I know it was 3. It was 2 from the start of it. So I'm going to back this one out here. Actually, I'll come forward with this one. So 1, 2. We'll just do 2 for now. And forward. Oh, a bit getting off track there. Two. We were 3, but I went down 2 from the top of the steel. So let's do this one too. There's 1, 1, 2. Forward we go. She's catching. All right. I'm just going to back right out of that. Now I'm going to give it more yet, so don't be discouraged. Now I'm going to try to get this in like that, actually. So this is on the opposite side, so I need this done differently. I have to get this up here. Get this through. and then bring it down. Top of the steel. So 1, 2. Forward we go. Oh, I'm in reverse, sorry. Hope you guys can still see that. My arm's not in the way. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. There we go. We're getting something. Now this one here has to be the opposite way as well, right? You gotta remember when you're doing this stuff, it's a bit tricky. Now you can lay it up on both sides if you want. So I'm gonna go back out of this one too, reverse it out. So I'm on top of the steel, so 1, 2, and I'm going to reverse this out. Come in a little, oh, that's not reverse, forward, sorry. There it goes. So I'm just using, I'm following this, I can see this bead right here, and I'm following the line I have put down for it. Now we're going to go deeper than this. We're going down 4 turns, because it's 4 turns from the top of the die to the, right down here, and that gives us a 1/2 inch. So we got quite a bit more to go yet. I'm thinking I should do a little in there while I'm here. And that's going to be like this. So up we go. There we are. So 1, 2, and forward to the corner. Need a little more power. There she goes. All right. Well, not too bad so far. I mean, it's not perfect. All right, so now I've done that. I'm going to back out of this one. And I'm going to give it 4 turns. Well, 2 more from where I'm sitting. So there was where it stopped. So 1, 2. Now this is a big bite this time. So I'm going to back out. Hopefully it has enough power. There she goes. And I'm going to try to hug it tight and hold this down so it puts the mark in it. There we go. I think that's almost it. Now we got to do this one. Let me try this one first. So I did 2. So 1, 2. And let's go forward. Reverse a little bit and then forward. There we go. I can just, if I can get that to just go around. I can touch those up with those corners I can touch up with a hammer, just go around and make them nicer. All right, so this one has to go in here. All right, let's do this. All right, 1, 2 more. So that should be 4. And let's hold her down. I'm going to give it a little more power here. Oh, here's where we're running into problems. It won't go through. It won't quite, the 1/2 inch won't quite go through the gap. Nope. I was wondering about that. So I have to squash that gap down. Oh, she's not going to go through. I can do those up by hand if I have to. There she goes. Yeah, there'll be a little touch up in there. 1/2 inch is quite a bit for this machine. All right. See if I can get these. I should be able to get this in. Should be able to get this part in here, if you can see that. Tight, like I say, she's tight on this machine. All right, let's see if I can get this piece in without squashing anything too much. I can use a chisel if I have to. There we go. I think. Get it back out. There we go. I'm going to call that pretty decent, actually. What do you guys think? For a really small bead roller, I'm going to try to bead in this foolish little spot right here. And I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to make a couple passes on it. And it's not going to look perfect, but I can always tap it in with lay a socket or something in there to smooth it up. So I'll just do this one. And I'm just going to push it down. That's all I'm doing, is pushing it down to make a... And I'll put one right in the middle of it, just to push it down. I'll give it one more turn on it. There. Kind of ugly, but... There, well, it's something. It really is something. If I go to this side of it, if I put it in here, and I can do it again, and it'll straighten that side out. So let's do that. There we go, that's better. Let's give both sides of that little indentation. Sometimes you just do what you need to do. There, that's not bad. I'll just smooth that out with a hammer and then drop it down. I think we got it. Well, there it is. I didn't think I was going to be able to get it with the bead roller. So it is a little bit warped, but by stretching it, it helped a lot. But I can just straighten this out a little bit. That needs to come up a tiny bit anyway. So we have our general pattern. Hey, is it far enough down? Probably not. But it's a battery box, and I don't think anybody's going to see it. I'll just straighten this out a bit. And remember, we have to break that anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, it's not quite as deep as the original. But I'll take my hammer and dolly and I'll form some edges around and make it better than that. But I think it'll be good enough for this job. Yeah, so this all has to get pushed down, so you can see it's up in the dent. So if I hammer and dolly it down, so I can get this to come down further, be good. Where's the battery box tray? Does it fit? That's the important part. Oh yeah, the tray fits. That's what I need, is the tray to fit. So it's fitting there nice. Right on. I did that joggle. I remembered I needed that one. It looks pretty good. Got a few scarring on it, but I'll live with it. I even did the YouTube social media rub down with a DA sander. You know, just to give it that satin finish look. And the dimple will go right about there. However, I think I'm going to wait to put the dimple in after it's in the apron piece. If I try to put it in now, it'll just wrinkle all this up. So once I weld it in, I can probably put that dimple imprint in without too much distortion. And that's it. So now, let's get it welded into the apron. Okay, that's all cut out. So I think I'm going to clamp it and then I'm going to flip it over. All right, so let's have a flip. Flippity flip. So what I'm going to do, now I have it all kind of laid out there. I'll probably have to do a little filler work over here. But remember, this all has to come down in. So right now, I kind of want to get a feel for how much I need to make the patch panel, how big I need to make the actual patch panel. All right, well, that's the piece we're going to use. Right or wrong, that's what we're using. There we go. So we got that cut. All right, time to get a little weld on this baby. So I'm gonna start tacking it in around here. I'll manipulate it in and I'll start cutting it where I can. So it'll settle down in place. Old, new, old. Woo, doggies. Ah, you caught me grinding. My least favorite thing of all this. I gotta grind the backside yet. Oh, grinding, grinding, grinding. I hate grinding. Did I mention I hate grinding? So over at the convertible, now this battery tray actually was in better shape than the one I just repaired, but however, the rest of it is horrible. Like this is all coming off. It's very thin hole right there. So what I decided to do, I'm going to cut. I laid out the lines. I'm going to cut it along, and I'll have to take the spot welds out of here, and then I'm going to come in here, and I'm leaving this side long because this is a much better surface than the one I have to work with on their donor piece. So I'm going to come in here and cut along here, maybe a little longer than that. I like to line up with this hole. And that hole there is for the wire that goes out to the parking lights, by the way, just so you know. And I wanted to do that because it lines up with the edge of the flange right there that goes this way. And then I'm going to cut along there, and I'll take that chunk right out. So let's get that done. It'll only take a minute. There we go. There. That's out of there. Good riddance to that. Stay there. I'll put that right down there. So now I want to save this. I'm going to put a wire wheel in there, clean it up, make sure, but that's pretty solid. I'm going to save it right over there. I'm going to get rid of the flange off of here. They're going to need a flange put out here, and this flange has eyes in it. But I'll just take the measurement from the other side. There's some repair up here to do. That's on this grate. There's a separate part of it. Let's see, we missed the inner structure there of this. That's nice. We just caught along the edge of it. So we'll get that old piece off there. Now up in here, I want to measure all this before I cut it away because I have to rebuild both top and bottom in here. Of course, there needs to be a top rail put on here. The good top rail is on that one. And that should do it. So just like that, eh? No problem. So let me grab the other one and see if we're anywhere near fitting. Now, of course, it's all, this has to be cut off. I should just cut that off. I'm not going to be using it now. I'll just zip this off. I'll put a new wheel on my grinder. And then that's kind of how it'll go. Cut down further, of course. But yeah, what's shagging it up here right now is this piece, and I don't need it, so I'll just cut it off. And I actually even kept lots there to weld onto, so that's what I'll do. Well, there we go. Wow, that's an improvement. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it's an improvement. But anyway, I'll go ahead now and I'll get that piece off there and do something with here, like I said. Get some work done on this lower flange, and we'll see how that works out.